I am joined by Mr. Lee Keys of System Bets and the infamous John Leng of John Joe's Blogspot on Facebook. We'll be taking a look at Britain's British Champions Day at Ascot this weekend, and anything else that we might throw into the mix. Before we have a little chat about Ascot, we had a few questions sent in by our many listeners. Oh, was that seconds out? Okay.
It's all right,
Dealt with. Excellent. We move on. Okay, come to a couple of questions that we had sent in on Twitter. This one's from Nick the Nipper. Thanks for this, Nick. Says, if it comes up soft, surely Adeb is a huge price at 8s for the Champions Stakes?
Not for me.
Okay.
I can see where he's coming from, but I don't think it's necessarily a huge price. Sorry about this.
Is that your dinner bell, John?
Hey?
Is roast beef cooked?
No, it's. I think it's a little ginger fella. I think he found the fourth one for his 4 trebles in a row up, and he's overexcited. I think it'll run its race. It's got its ground. It just keeps getting beaten these, though, doesn't it?
Okay. And Lee, any thoughts on that?
I actually disagree with John here on this one. I actually think the form line with and Adeb from last year is quite strong in terms of this race. For example, second favourite is Mishriff. You're dealing with a horse that won the French Derby. Looks a very nice horse, Frankie's choice, but really is that form in France up to this level? I'm not so sure. So okay. I think you've got a good point there, and 8-1 each way wouldn't be a bad bet in my opinion.
Okay, great stuff. Another question here from Invicta Capital on Twitter. Aside from the obvious candidates, is there a trainer you think is a really hot cookie when the cash is down, but not widely recognised as such? I have some thoughts on this, but I'll shoot to you fellas first.
Okay, I would go for Liam Cusack.
Okay.
At Mount Rath, which is in between Limerick and Dublin, so bang smack in the middle.
Okay.
Which is great for travelling as well. I always think if you train there in Ireland, I think you've not got really long journeys on their daft roads. So for me, Liam Cusack, I did his stats on horses that were fancied and backed, and he's got an amazing record. And he doesn't have many horses. He's famous for the Snugsborough Hall.
Snugsborough Benny.
Yeah, I mean, he's very skillful at placing them. He's really good. And so when the cash is down, Mr. Cusack, certainly a very shrewd outfit, and that's the yard to follow for me. Yeah.
Okay, John?
Jim Chapel-Hyam.
Okay.
That decent 2-year-old filly was a good illustration of it in the last fortnight. I think it won on Saturday. Was it a listed race? We're in the maiden race that ran in a fortnight before that. Suspiciously short in the betting. That obviously had a few quid on. She had Kirby booked. No messing, I mean, sat there, kicked on going into the dip. Classic Newmarket ride. Backers never had a moment's concern at all. I do think she's decidedly useful when she has one of her half dozen winners in the year,
Okay. I picked a couple just obviously from the National Hunt game. 2 trainers who I'm a big fan of really, and they sort of, they're no strangers to having good horses, but when the money's down, you can sort of pretty much make sure that they will win, and that's Jeremy Scott and Tom Lacey for me. So I'll throw those 2 into the mix. I've got a couple more questions. Nick Davis on Facebook. Do you think Low will be the place to be tomorrow? They always seem to migrate there, as the early October meet is when they split the course at Ascot. Do the panel think that Happy Power is overpriced, drawn low, in form, and has spent a lot of his career at 7 to 8 furlongs in very good company? The favourite could be hampered by being drawn in 16. HP will race mid-near the lead, and the stiff 6 furlongs could play really well. What do you think, John?
Well, I think we should address the favourite first and the absolutely stinking rotten form that the stable is in. I can't remember when Michael Stout had a more in and out sort of year as regards his horse's form in general. Dream of Dreams has probably been the exception. It might have booked the trend so far, but I honestly couldn't back this with counterfeit tomorrow. I think the yard's in shocking fettle, I really do. They've had horses going into races with reasonable chances and run £30 below the figures, you know. They had one at Windsor in the week called Mars Landing. It's a 90 rated horse. He ran to about 48 in a maiden. You know, I just could not go near the yard at the minute. Okay,
good stuff. Anything from you, Lee?
Yes, I did. After Nick's question, I did the stats Ascot in October at this meeting, and the straight course basically plays advantage to stalls lower than 10. So it's 0.8 actual over expected, greater than 10. It's 1 of 5 lower than 10 on the straight course. Nick is correct. That numbers certainly have an edge.
Okay, great stuff. Question here from Tim Devine. Ignoring the very obvious, what do you think are the reasons for jockeys heading over to the slower strip of ground again and again? Is it just a concern about making a mistake, or are they following trainer instructions?
Probably a bit of both, and adding a bit of rank stupidity as well. Really. You know, I mean, I think we've established over the years that jockeys and trainers don't think enough about tactics, track biases, etc. If they did, there'd be more people taking Mark Johnston on the front end, wouldn't there? And they would be having 75 gimmies a year. So I think really it's a lack of preparation and knowledge on the part of jockeys and trainers. You know, a lot of herd mentality. One goes one way, they all have to follow. Less and less you see a jockey going on his own on one side or anything, and you don't see many of them walking the track either.
Okay, Lee, anything to add on that?
Yeah, just to add, John's pretty much spot on there. Speaking as like from experience as a past owner and present owner, but you tell them too much, you're kind of confusing them because if you say drop one out or do this, do that, then what happens if they ping the lids? You know, so it's 6 furlongs. Let's say the horse actually just pings the lids. You'll see them try and drop it out because you've told them to drop it out. So they're too frightened to do anything different to what you've said. So the key is really not to tell them too much and just say, you know, if you break, go. If you don't break, take your time.
Okay.
You have to plan B, C, and D, don't you, if you're going to do it?
But that really is. No, I mean, that's not going to work. I mean, they have difficulty sort of like thinking, breathing. So you've got to,
that's it. There was that rumour that Dave Allen arrived at the races one day and he had his headphones on.
Yeah.
And somebody took them off him, and so I thought I'll have a listen, say what Dave's soundtrack to the day, and it just was saying, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
I think you should say what you really think, John. I don't think you should sit on the fence, you know. Last question from Chris Stockhill. Who does the panel think will be the next number 1 jockey for Deleuze? Chris, I think it'll be Colin Keane. I don't know what the boys think. Hand over to them.
Well, I think your man's having a try out tomorrow then, isn't he?
Yes. Looks that way, doesn't it?
It does. It wouldn't surprise me. I think Ryan's definitely coming to the parting of the ways with them.
Yeah, definitely. Although this year, to be fair to him, what's going on in the world wouldn't have helped his cause this year. But I think the writing has been on the wall before then.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, the lads like a bit of a laugh, don't they? And I mean, Ryan's gonna, he took the atmosphere out of a kid's party within 27 seconds, wouldn't he? So I mean, you'd get sick of him, wouldn't you? Irrespective of the riding, he would just end up getting on your nerves. There's no upside to him at all, Is
it like that, that episode of Father Ted where Father Stone comes to stay?
It's very similar, yeah. Entertaining Father Mower, And you'd be praying for that electrical storm when you took him for a game of golf, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. It's brilliant, yeah.
You'd be saying, try this 4-iron, Ryan, just wave it around a bit, it'll be all right. No, they must have had enough of him. They must have. And I think Colin Kane's a good shout, Catherine.
Yeah. Lee?
Just carrying on from that, Brian Moore is 0.72 actual expected this year. So basically, that's not really what you want to see from Coolmore's number one, supposedly. But his days are numbered. It's not if, it's when. What I did to this question, because the guy that sort of asked the question's not really a sane fellow. I know him, so I'm not really, au fait with the question. But yeah, so Adam Farraher, Sam Ewing are two top Irish apprentices.
Oh, Sam Ewing, yeah.
I think these guys are really going to dominate the scene in Ireland to come. In England, Ray Dawson, if he can keep off the marching powder, that will help. And also, Georgia Derby is one I expect for the female brigade to carry the torch on from Hayley Turner and join Holly Doyle as female royalty as jockeys. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was drink, not marching powder. But anyway, we won't go there. We won't go there. We will instead head down to Berkshire to Ascot, where the going is soft, heavy in places, just for a change on this day. So guys, we'll kick off with the long distance cup at 120. John, where do you want to start?
I want to start with the fact that poor old Strad has had two little booze cruises over the channel.
Booze cruise.
Chances are he's going to turn up running up a bit late tomorrow, I would have thought.
Okay.
He's not a horse that carries a lot of condition. I don't think 2 cross-channel trips is ideal going into this.
Yeah.
And I kind of like 2 against him. Your Irish Ledger horse would be the more solid of the 2. The other one that I think is interesting is Broom, with the aforementioned Mr. Keane having his job interview in the plate. I thought this, when it ran in the Derby, I thought right at the very end of the Derby, you saw this one's stamina beginning to kick in. I think potentially it could be another Yates, but potentially as well it could be an absolute raspberry, and they might be wanting a stretcher by the time it gets to Swindley Bottom, because it's clearly had problems.
Yeah, could go either way.
But
at 11-1, you'd take that chance, wouldn't you?
You could, and as I say, I think your Irish Ledger mare is the more solid of the 2 options, but I couldn't back Strad after the 2 trips abroad, really.
Yeah, no, same. One of my bets of the weekend again is the aforementioned Search for a Song. Yeah, absolutely love her. Just and I thought, I know Oisin Murphy's on her tomorrow. I thought Oisin Orr gave her just an absolute peach at the Curragh, and she was just dropped out like that, switched off, brought through. I thought that was one of the rides of the season. And I'm not talking through my pocket here. Just it was poetry in motion. So anyway, Lee, where would you like to go with the first race?
Catherine, I totally agree. That Oisin Orr's, Oisin Orr, or however you pronounce it, has done a tremendous job in settling this because she. And I think if you watch her win the Galtrees season, Oisin Murphy was in the saddle then, and very handy, very very over racy, very. I do think they've sort of in a way found the key. Drop her out, let her settle, let her find the stride, and she just pounds away to the line. And I think I really do feel that she's a filly going places, going for family are an amazing family. You look at you look at what the mare has produced. The Free Eagle, Custom Cut, Falcon 8, Sapphire, go on and go on, 100 plus progeny. And I just think this filly is just going from strength to strength. I love the way that she's been campaigned this year. It's a progressive campaign, and I think while she's on the up, the Strad will be on the way down.
Yeah, no, that was my reading of the. Obviously, I wouldn't sort of be as over involved with the flat as you guys are, but that was my literal reading of the race as well. And yeah, I think she can be a bit buzzy. She can be a bit buzzy in the parade ring, and like you say, I think that they really have sort of they found her now. And I think she's absolutely brilliant. When she wants to go, she goes. It's almost like she's out the back like tootling along, and she just, that's it. It's like, I'll go now. And I think she does need that very sympathetic ride. And played to Oisin Orr at the Curragh, he got it absolutely spot on. So push for a selection. John, where would you go?
I think I'd probably back the filly.
Okay. And Lee?
Yeah, the same, the filly. I mean, simply because, like I said, Strad disappoints. I think she's the main one.
Awesome, excellent. Okay, so moving on to the sprint, the 6 furlong Qipco British Champions Sprint Stakes. I will get my words out at some point today. Lee, I'll start with you. Anything for you in this?
Very keen on. Tim Easterby's had a fantastic year, and I think tomorrow could see Art Power produce an enormous run. I do feel that the drop to 5 in the Nunthorpe was against this horse, and also the last run, Sylvester seemed to have in his mind, right, I'm just going to blast this straight out to the rail. And he basically set the race up a little bit. Dream of Dreams, lovely toe into the race. What I mentioned about the draw earlier, I think the higher the worse. I think stall 10 is okay here. I think the middle of the track will be fine. Art Power can sort of bounce out. As long as he doesn't go too hard and aggressive, I think if he just sits handy and stalks, I think 10-1 plus is absolutely enormous. So Art Power, yes, would be my choice.
Excellent. John?
I think possibly the Haggis House dropping back from 7 furlongs, but I am concerned about the draw, really. I'd agree with Lee about Tim's House. I think that could run well. I also thought Nick's fancy the other power horse. As I said, the only one I couldn't do with is the favourite. Just oppose him all day long.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. We will move on to the fillies and mares. 1 mile, 3 furlongs. John?
Tricky sort of race, really. I think probably Dame Malio would be the obvious one, but I think Ollie Doyle will probably try and make the run in here, and whether that's just sort of adding to the wars a bit, I don't know. I don't think it makes the job any easier if she is. And possibly Wonderful tonight could come through and tackle her later on. I'm finding it hard to see beyond them two, to be honest. The Gosden filly that Frankie rides clearly had problems, only the one run. I wouldn't be sure about Antonia de Vega either. I'm not entirely convinced she's up to this.
Okay.
I think those two possibly favouring Wonderful tonight, just because I think that'll be the one challenging later of the two.
Okay, great stuff, thank you. And Lee?
Yeah, slight disagreement with John here. I've got my nap of the meeting here.
Excellent.
The Gosden filly, actually, and the price is under severe pressure. Since doing my notes, she was like sort of like 10, 11 to 1. I see currently she's like 8. Medea, basically, she's been taking on the boys. If you look last time, back in June in the Prince of Wales against Lord North, etc., she was I thought she just liked the foot. They'd gone quite slow in that. Lord North had that foot, she didn't. If you look at this, the Champion Stakes, the feature race on this card this year, she ran 4 lengths behind Magical last year. This would be for me a drop in class, even though you say it's a Group 1 fillies. Mm-hmm. If you look what's running here to what she's taken on the last 2 starts, I mean, if you remember the demolition job she did of Manuela de Vega at Chester last year in the Cheshire Oaks, that was so impressive. And this for me is a filly that has a real potent turn of foot, and I find it significant that they've come back here. They've not gone for the bigger races. They've just said, right, this is the target. So from Ascot, they've not gone to France. They've not gone anywhere other than here. And I think this is the target. And I think you'll see a peak performance from this filly today.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Thanks, Lee. Okay, so we'll move on to the 305, the QE2 over a mile. Lee, I will start with you.
Yeah. Again, really, I'm absolutely perplexed at the price of Palace Pier because, yes, he's unbeaten. I mean, it's there to see, but I mean, how on earth he's as short as 8 to 11, 4 to 6? I'll never know. I mean, if you take the form at face value, a Newcastle handicap win from Acquitted, which I backed that day. What an idiot! and then beats Pinatubo, which is again, he's good 3-year-old form. Wichita has sort of half ranked the form. It's decent, but is it that decent? Is it 4 to 6, 8 to 11 decent? Okay. I don't see that. So I'm sort of against Palace Pier. I'd be laying Palace Pier odds on, I think.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Thanks, Lee. John?
I don't think I want to lay Palace Pier in particular. I just tend to fail each way against it with the Revenant. I thought that showed that it certainly retained its ability last time when it ran in France at the Arc meeting. You may be a little bit worried about a bounce, but in the main, it would look to be the one to take Palace Pier on with. So I would take the Revenant each way. Okay.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, John. So on to the Champions Stakes itself. 340. John, I know we had a bit of a chat about this already with the question, but you open the lingo on this.
Well, I think it's going to come down to tactics to a certain degree. It'd be interesting to see what Aidan does with his Derby winner for starters. I mean, we're all waiting with bated breath to see what would happen in the Arc, and then they couldn't run across. Going back to the Arc weekend. I thought Scaletti was absolutely marvellous in the foray. Was it the foray or the dollar? Dollar, wasn't it? $3. I thought that was a terrific win. Showed a good turn of foot, handled heavy ground. Clearly a horse going the right way. I think 11-1's quite sporting, that one. Magical's going to be hard to beat. She runs the race, obviously. But that said, just about the same horse on the ratings would be Lord North. Now, I hadn't really bought into Lord North going into York, and then when he only finished third to Gayas, I thought, there you are, I was right. But then I found out he lost his show, and then I looked back at the recording of the race. He sat last when they all determined to make it a lap of honour for Gayas. Nobody took him on, so technically he was sat in the worst position possible. He's got winning form on heavy ground, and he's had a nice break since York. He comes here fresher than most. With Frankie deciding to ride Mishriff, I think this could probably drift tomorrow. Okay. Might go off 8-1 even. I think this is a cracking bet each way, Lord North. Okay,
brilliant stuff. Thanks for that, John. And great observation on the judgment at York. Lee?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that, John. So that's a good insight there. Basically, I felt that the Magical Adair form line from last year would be pretty solid in this. Like I said, because Frankie's chose it, he's like 3-1. Whether you think that the French form and the French Derby form is up to this standard, I'm not sure. That's the one I'd be against, really, even though the horse has really, really come on in leaps and bounds. But I do like the Magical Adair form line from last year, and that's where I'd go. Magical.
Okay, thanks, Lee. And the last race on the card, the Balmoral handicap, the 4:15, over a mile, talking about soft ground. Lee, where would you want to go in this?
This would be my second best bet on the card, really. I really, really like Tempest, because in the Cambridgeshire, I do think it ended up just slightly off that advantageous rail that day. It was sort of like mid-div, just sort of caught like sort of middle to stands, but not quite where that group was that broke clear down that stands rail. And I think that had it been over a mile that day, and if Tempest would have had the stands rail, Tempest would have won the Cambridgeshire. It's just that's just went that day, that the stands rail was very advantageous. And I do think with the like I've highlighted earlier on about the low draws, stall 6 will be ideal. And also, very strangely, for a big field handicap, there's very little pace forecast. There's absolutely no absolute out and out front runners, barring the reserve. So I'd say you need really to, strangely for Ascot, I would say you need to be sort of on the pace and not the raising sand of ridden sort of out the back, because I don't think particularly they'll stop. So Tempest would be a good choice for me. I think value at sort of around the 8-1 mark. So for a good each way bet, check your each way terms with bookmakers, but Tempest would be my choice.
Okay, Tempest for Lee there. And John, where would you like to go?
More pace and a better draw, and I would have been all over King Ottokar. As things stand, I think 22 bucks might be enough of a problem for him. I think this is probably a better race for him than the one that was abandoned the other week, where I fancied him. I think that was 7 furlongs. I think this mile probably suits him even better. I just think the draw it's niggling at me, and it's probably going to put me off backing him. And I do think he's got one of these in him on soft ground, so it's a shame really. But I can see where Lee's coming from with his Cambridgeshire selection as well. It's a tricky race. The lack of pace in the race as well does make it a little bit harder to work out. So I could see me possibly even sitting it out.
Okay. All right. Thanks, John. As we wrap up Ascot, anything else that you guys? Is there anything else that's caught your eye over the weekend that you want to talk about?
I think you summed up a race that you liked on Sunday, Cathryn. I think.
Yeah, we're pretty much in agreement with that, aren't we? I'm actually just looking. The first prices are up, actually, Lee. So Lee and I are talking about the Welsh Champion Hurdle at Ffos on Sunday. And Lee and myself were very, very keen on the Banner King Rebel. First price up with William Hill is 10-1. I'm just going to go off after this and have a little nibble at that. I think that's pretty generous, I have to say. My bet of the weekend is the Banner King Rebel. Ffos on Sunday, Welsh Champion Hurdle.
Is that got anything left? I'll be joining you.
Yeah, just
I don't think I move markets, John. I don't believe I have that clout. But we will return. We're like a guerrilla pod. We don't sort of, we just announce it on the day and then get on with it. But I may talk the lads into doing a podcast next week for the return of Cheltenham. Of course, very, very sad that I won't get to be there. Can't remember the last time that I wasn't there for an opening meeting. That's the way things are. But hope you've enjoyed listening to us yet again. And thanks, as always, to Lee and to John. Thank you.